Dare to be a Mormon. Dare to stand alone. Dare to have a purpose firm. Dare to make it known. Although the experience turned out differently from what I'd expected, I had been willing to stand alone, had such been necessary. Since that day, there have been times when there was no one standing behind me, and so I did stand alone. How grateful I am that I made the decision long ago to remain strong and true, always prepared, and ready to defend my religion should the need arise.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, or good afternoon or good evening, depending on when you're watching this. That was a very different intro came up before my credits. That was actually Thomas S. Monson, the former president and prophet of the Church of Latter-day Saints, an absolutely sterling man who has some amazing speeches you should see. But I thought it was a very good intro to what I'm going to talk about today. One of the things as a convert that is very, very hard and very difficult, especially if you're on your own, you're not with your converting with your family or something like that. But if you're an individual like me who's converting on your own, it can be a very daunting process dealing with your non-Mormon friends and family. Some of us come from different religions, different denominations of religion, and we often find that when you join the Mormons, sometimes you can get negative reactions or just people who do not really understand. Hopefully we can just sit here and talk about it and, try and relieve some of those pressures on it. Again, I'll always say is I'm speaking from my personal experience. I'm not an expert, I'm not a psychologist. You just to give you an idea of how I dealt with it, maybe will help you deal with the issues. I'll be honest with you. I was raised in the Church of England. Back in the UK, I now live in the USA, but back in the UK I was raised in the Church of England. And the only encounter with the Latter-day Saints was that crazy American religion, because they couldn't think of anything else. They had to make up their own religion. And very negative, very judgmental comments often came out about the Mormons. And I grew up, admittedly, thinking Mormons were crazy, crazy people because of the differences between their interpretation of the gospel and what I call mainstream Christianity's view of the gospel. Now, when you join the Mormon church, it's not like going on and joining the Baptist church or the Methodist church. You pretty much just turn up at the Baptist church or the Methodist church and you join, and no one ever comments on it. Oh, you're a Methodist, you're a Baptist. When you join the Latter-day Saints, it's somewhat different. Again, a lot of people who are born into the faith, who are raised around friends and family, who are all Mormons, often don't understand this. But for a lot of us, like myself, none of my family are Mormon. None of my friends before I became Mormon are Mormon. Obviously, I've got hundreds of Mormon friends now. But before I joined the church, I didn't even know a Mormon. As with social media today, it's like I'm on Facebook constantly, and I'm adding friends that I've met in the church, and I've got friends that are from prior to going to the church, and I'm not saying you should lose those friends or anything like that, but there does come that time when people start questioning you. The Mormon church? You join the Mormon church? And, it's really about how confident you are in the faith. If you're going to join the church, you have to be very confident. You have to understand it. You have to follow the lessons, guides that are given to you by your missionaries, and make sure it's clearly the path you want to go down to. Because one thing I always say to people, you're not just joining a new church. You're joining a new lifestyle. You're joining a new way of looking at the world and a new way of perceiving your relationship with God. Now, to share my own example with you, I'm 49 years of age. Don't tell anyone. Um, and I've been married twice. I've been divorced twice. I now live alone, and I have children with my previous wives. And my own ex-wife is a born-again evangelical Christian, and I still have to have a relationship with her because we're still raising a kid together. And she had real big problems with me joining the Mormon Church. There's no doubt about it. And simply, you just come out and you need to explain to them that there's important people in your life. Not necessarily go into detail about what you believe or don't believe. You don't need to get a big theological discussion. But you show them the changes that it's made in your life. And, if they care about you, they'll accept it. They don't have to agree with it, but it's nice that they accept it. Some friends won't accept it. Now, to use my Facebook example, when I started posting things on Facebook referring to my being in the Mormon Church, I had 4 or 5 friends actually unfriend me. That's their choice. If they want to be prejudiced, then go ahead. They can unfriend me. I have gained a lot more friends than the friends I've lost. Nearly about a third of my Facebook friends are now members of my church. Not necessarily my own ward, but I've met people online through various forums, through various friends, and I've made a lot of friends out of it. And it's not just on Facebook. I'm not saying that I'm some sort of nerdy guy who sits on Facebook all day. They're real life friends too. But those people who are your pre-baptismal friends, may have issues, and it's not as scary as you think. True friends are true friends, whatever your religious beliefs are, whatever your political beliefs are. I'm a conservative, and I have a lot of friends who are crazy liberals. And sorry, I'm just saying that as a joke, but they don't have the same political opinions as me. And the same goes for religion. The difference is, as I say, if you're in a very legalistic church, say Catholic and Church of England, like I was in, they had, family members who are also in that church can have issues with it. So, you can't force people to accept what you've decided, but it's how you actually present yourself. I never tried to convince my ex-wife or any of my family members that the LDS was the way to go. And there's no problem if you want to try and convert your friends or your family, that's fine. But if you're just trying to get them to accept what you decided, stick with getting them to accept what you decided. That's my recommendation. When you want to face your friends about it, I'm not saying you go out and make a big announcement. I never once sat there and said, "Hi, I've got something to tell you all. I'm a Mormon now," because that makes it a big issue. I started posting things online about going to the temple and having my baptism and things like that. And friends have gradually clicked on, I've joined the LDS. And I haven't really had a great deal of negativity from it. When I was talking to my ex-wife, obviously the issue came up about our children, and I wasn't in the LDS when we got divorced, and we made an agreement as part of the divorce plan on raising our children that the children be raised in her church. And so therefore, I'm not allowed to preach Mormonism to my children. They're aware of it, and I've told my ex-wife, if my children specifically ask me questions, I'm not going to lie. I will answer them honestly, but I won't initiate a conversation about it. However, simply explaining where I was coming from to my ex-wife, she accepted what I had decided to do, and she got to such a stage with acceptance that she came to my baptism. My ex-wife came and watched me be baptized in the Church of the Latter-day Saints. She will never, ever, in my belief, ever agree with my beliefs. She will never agree with the Mormon Church. But she has accepted that this is how I want to express my worship and belief in God and how I want to live my life. Now, obviously, I want my children to join my faith. I believe it's the one true faith, and I believe that it's the right way to serve and worship God, and that it is the correct gospel. So, one day I will turn around and, when my kids have turned 18, and say to them, this is what I believe. Here's a copy of the Book of Mormon. Let's discuss it sometime. If they choose to, that's absolutely fantastic. Also, if they don't, that's, again, their choice. We have our free agency. I'm not forcing my religion on anybody, not even my members of my family, my children. We do, however, I have to say that, at the end of the day, my faith is what is most important to me. It comes before everything. My relationship with God is so much closer since I joined the Church of the Latter-day Saints. I've been religious on and off all my life. I say on and off because there was a period of time that I was so despondent about Christianity, I became an atheist for some years. And, it was a shame because what I was hearing was not believable, in mainstream Christianity. And when I joined the LDS, everything made sense to me. But getting back to the point, you will have friends that won't accept it, but it really is their problem. A lot of people will come out and they'll have their religious views themselves and say, oh, you're wrong, or Mormons aren't Christian, or Mormons are this, or Mormons are that. One of the tenets of Christianity is to not sit in judgment of others. So why there's so many people who want to come out and say, oh, Mormons aren't this or Mormons aren't that, and still say they're a person of faith is beyond me. But the main thing is, you have made the right decision to join the Church of the Latter-day Saints. Most of your friends who are non-Mormons will accept it, unless you've got a crazy bunch of bigoted friends. Your friends are supposed to love you for who you are, how you are, why you are, and what you are. But you don't always have to stand alone. The scene that I showed at the beginning of this of President Monson saying about that nursery rhyme, Dare to be a Mormon, is the whole story, and I recommend you watch that video in its entirety, and I'll post a link to it at the end of the video. And he was talking about a time when he was in the Navy, and he was being questioned about his religion by an officer. Now, he thought he was the only Mormon there, and it turned out that there were several other Mormons in his unit. You don't have to stand alone, but you have to dare to stand alone. If at the end of the day, what's important is your relationship with Christ, your relationship with God, that's what matters. Dare to stand alone. However, in your ward, you have hundreds of friends waiting for you, and you will truly be blessed by their company. I have not met a nicer, friendlier, caring servants of God than the members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. That's about it from me. Once again, I thank you for watching. The opinions expressed are all mine and mine alone. They do not represent the official opinion of the Church of Latter-day Saints. Any mistakes are mine and mine alone. I wish you a blessed day.